so much for agreeing to speak to me today, girls, about your experiences here at AISJ when it comes to assessment. Do you want to introduce yourselves, just to start?
Hi, I'm AISJ.
I'm Haley. And I'm Mari. And all three of you are in grade 9, right?
Yeah.
So what we're talking about today is your experiences here at school when it comes to assessment, and I'm interested in hearing from you what are some of the things that are working for you in our current system, and what are some things that aren't working. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
I guess it's working fine for me. I don't have any complaints or anything.
Okay, well, in some classes, like the teacher, he just takes so long to grade, and like whenever we like confront him about it, he's just like, no, I always take like a certain, like, I always take like 2 weeks, which is like how long they're supposed to take. And, but yeah, what's working well is actually in math. The teachers, like, they do like grade separately, and then they like go together and like conference and stuff, so like everyone gets like a fair grade from all the teachers.
So excellent points. So can I just probe into the first point that you made? When you don't hear back from the teacher, how does that impact on your learning? When you don't hear back right away, I guess.
Well, I'm like really focused on my grades, and like I'm really impatient, and I get like really like anxious, and like I'm just like scared that like what if I like, got a really bad grade or something.
Is it just the grades?
Oh, no, mostly. I don't know. I feel like it's like you as a person, like you're not put, like, I don't know. Your grades are like at you in college, not really like, I don't know.
That's a good point. And regarding your second point, you said that in your math classes, your teachers are working together to ensure that they're all grading, I guess, fairly and consistently.
Yeah.
How does that impact on your learning?
Well, I think it's just like it doesn't make it like unfair for each student, because like if someone has a harder grader of a teacher, then like if there's like a fair grader, then like the person can be like, no, this is like not right, you should give them like a 6 instead of like a 5.
Right?
I agree with the first point you made. There's certain teachers that take a long time to grade even though they think they don't. And I think that certain teachers, when studying for the tests, certain teachers will give you like certain time in class, and they give you extra resources that other teachers don't give you in class, or to do your homework just to help yourself. And I think that sometimes affects your grades.
So you would appreciate it if teachers shared resources and kind of collaborated together as they were preparing you for summatives?
Because I've spoken to people, and people said that their teachers have given them so-and-so resource that my class hasn't gotten that because of different teachers.
What things work for you? What helps you?
I usually like to have a practice test and kind of maybe a website that just kind of clarifies terms and gives me practice things that I can do outside of school.
Do you want to add on to anything after hearing everybody speak?
Like a lot of teachers, they give me the opportunity if I want to like learn something early with feedback and then move over it, and then like the actual test or essay comes, I can improve upon that. And the teachers I have, they return my grades back appropriately within 2 weeks and give me like good feedback. So I'm happy with all my teachers. And
when you say good feedback, what do you mean by that?
They give me feedback in time and also really effective. And if I have a question, they'll answer it. They gave me.
So like what helps a lot in assessments would be definitely sharing of the rubric helps, because then you know exactly what it seems kind of vague in some, but it's usually very helpful in narrowing down what you actually want to achieve in the assessment. And then also like formatives help so much. Every time I have formative, I feel so much more prepared for a summative, because I feel exactly knowing of what's going to come. For example, even if it's just like in a math or science-based subject where we get sort of 10 minutes to do a particular question, just formatively to try and understand what the exam questions might be like. Also, just the teacher generally sharing their what they've experienced in the past helps a lot, as it sort of it takes out that factor of, okay, so I know now that I don't need to do this. It's a good example of things that they've run into that have both helped and not helped. What doesn't help so much is when, in terms of just the assessment, is I'd probably say when either the assessment is too long or too short. Because if it's too short, then sometimes it can feel like you haven't actually been assessed on anything. And if it's too long, like in the past I've had math tests which have run over, which I've usually end up missing a couple of questions because I didn't have enough time. It's really discouraging, and it really hurts when you can't finish something and you know that you could have done it, but you just didn't have enough time. And yeah, that's
Thanks so much, Harry. Okay. Hi, Erica. Thanks so much for agreeing to speak to me today about your experiences with assessment here at AISJ.
Sure.
So, what I'm wondering from you is, what are some of the things that help you in your learning? Think back to some of your classes, and what are some of the things that hinder your learning?
Okay, so firstly, I would say what has helped me the most taking the IB at AISJ is probably how the class sizes are set up in a way in which it promotes discussion and it promotes every single student as well as the teacher to equally contribute. And by doing that, you're able to learn from others as well as the teacher, and also kind of reflect on your own thought processes while gaining new knowledge at the same time. The one thing, though, that I would say that has really hindered a lot of my learning, that has been present in almost all of my classes, is how how group projects can be major summatives. I find that irregardless of what class you're in or what group you're put in, there is always going to be one person who puts more effort than others, and there's always going to be one person who puts the least amount of effort into the project. But how group projects are often assessed is that it's one grade for the whole group that gets put into every student's power school, and that can either make your grade go up or make it go down or not change it at all. And I think that in IB, at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with what you can do as a group, because you're assessed individually and your marks are only applicable to you and what you can do on your own when it comes to exam time. And I feel like making group projects as summatives does not really help, because it doesn't give you the right skills and it doesn't teach you how to take ownership for your own learning and to do things like on your own, I would say. Also, something that has hindered my learning is in a lot of my classes, actually, I think only in like my English class and probably art, I was ever shown an exemplar before approaching any like internal assessment or any assessment that the IB would be seeing. I feel like that is like the teacher's responsibility, and it's given the responsibility now to the students to either go online and search for these exemplars, and a lot of the time what you find online could have been an exemplar from one school but not necessarily from the IB, so you don't even know a lot of the time how something, even if it's as simple as structure, you don't even know, yes, the rubric helps, but to actually see it in its final form is very helpful, and that does not happen like majority of the time, and it does affect your grades, because obviously it puts you at risk. Everyone wants to get a 7, but if you don't know what a 7 looks like, it's kind of almost impossible to write a work that is worthy of a 7. And also, also explaining rubrics, I would say, is very necessary. That doesn't happen quite frequently. And like fairly applying the rubric to all of the students. And even though a student may have fallen, say, in a high 3 bracket and you really wanted them to get a 4, I feel like it's not necessarily realistic to move the grade up just so that it looks good on their power school, and just because you don't want to appear as if students in your class perform poorly. So yeah, I would say that being more realistic than kind when it comes to grading, because that's the only way students can really learn, is that if you failed a few times, then at least personally, that's how I now know in the future that I did this and that gave me a poor grade, but now I need to do everything except for that to get higher than what I was marked.
Thank you so much. That was excellent.